Welcome to another video. Now today we're going to look at what makes for a successful game, or in your study of chess, what's making you feel successful, what's making you not feel successful, and looking at that. Right out of the gate, often when you're winning, you feel like you're being successful. But that's not necessarily true. You can be winning every game you play, but if you're playing someone who doesn't know how to play chess, then you may be, racking up a lot of wins, but you're really not being challenged and you're not getting any better if you're not studying and doing all these other things and learning more and more about chess. If you're just beating someone who doesn't know how to play, yes, you're getting a lot of victories, but you're really not being very successful at chess. So just winning is not enough. We're going to look at a list of things that can help you to feel successful even if you're not winning, or if you feel like you're not successful. So there's other ways to feel successful other than winning, and we're going to look at those. So right out of the gate, we're going to talk about inaccuracies, mistakes, and blunders. On Lichess, after you play, you can look and see how many blunders you've made. So here's right here on the screen. Let's see, this might be the opponent. This might be you, for example. And on Lichess, you can look and see, okay, let's see, I had one inaccuracy, one mistake, 0 blunders, and then there's something else. There's centipawn loss, there's accuracy. But right now we're going to look at inaccuracy, mistakes, and blunders. So let's say you lose a game of chess and you feel bad. But if you look at how you did, and the computer's telling you only had one inaccuracy, one mistake, and 0 blunders, I mean, that's very respectful. So if you're somebody who usually makes 5 and 10 blunders, and then you play a game with 0 blunders, even if you lose, you can say, wow, I was successful. I had 0 blunders. It's quite possible, you play somebody that's better than you, and you're gonna lose. But you can be proud if you look and you see that you've had 95% accuracy. So that's another area where you can look and see if you're successful, is you look, how many blunders did you make? Now we're going to talk about accuracy. On Lichess, it also gives you a percentage of your accuracy. So right here, this guy got 95% accuracy. This guy 90%. 90% is very good too. I mean, 90%, that's great. He had 2 blunders, which isn't bad. But this guy, 0 blunders, 95% accuracy. Let's say you play a game where you have 95% accuracy and you still lose because the guy you played had 96% accuracy and 0 blunders. So you can still lose, but you can be happy thinking, okay, I lost, but wow, I don't feel bad at all because I had 95% accuracy. So we've talked about blunders, we've talked about accuracy, and these are 2 ways to see if you're successful other than whether or not you won. Okay, so the third thing is centipawn loss. And so right on this image, you can see this guy got a 25 centipawn loss, and this guy got 38 centipawn loss. So what is centipawn loss? Okay. In chess analysis, centipawn loss measures the difference in position evaluation between a player's move and the move a chess engine would deem optimal. It's essentially a way to quantify how much worse a move was compared to the best possible choice. A lower centipawn loss indicates stronger play. A centipawn represents 1/100th of the value of a pawn. What does average centipawn loss mean in Lichess? Basically, it's a numerical value indicating how accurate your moves were. It tells you how many centipawns on average you lose per move. If your centipawn loss is 100, for example, you lose hypothetically 1 pawn per move on average, indicating a low accuracy of your moves. So centipawn loss is another way. It's a way for the computer to judge your accuracy and how accurate you are. You know, did it take you 3 moves to do what you could have done in 1? So you want to be more accurate. So centipawn loss is another way for you to evaluate whether or not you had a successful game. So even if you lost, let's say you had a really good centipawn loss and you had minimal blunders or no blunders and your accuracy was good, then you have a right to feel good. I mean, the guy you were playing might have just been a higher ranked, better than you. So you can, so you know you're not going to win, but you can try to be successful in these other areas with your blunders, your mistakes, your inaccuracies, your centipawn loss. Let me just show you. This is the image that Lichess will show you with the accuracy and the blunders. I know chess.com uses something like this. They don't just have inaccuracies, mistakes, and blunders. They have a bunch of stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But they still show you your blunders, your mistakes, but they add a couple of other categories here. But they also show your accuracy. Chess.com does not explicitly display your centipawn loss directly in your game analysis. So that's interesting. I like the centipawn loss feature, so that's why I like to go to Lichess. What's another way to be successful in chess? Well, ask yourself, did you follow opening principles? Did you develop your pieces early? Did you control the center of the board? Did you have a plan of attack strategically, and did you avoid blunders? This is another area you can ask yourself. Did you follow opening principles? Did you move the same piece twice in the beginning? Stuff like that. That's not a good thing. You don't want to move the same piece twice. So this is another way you can ask yourself if you were successful. I wanted to show you this. This is in Lichess. And you can go in there and look at your stuff and your opponents to kind of give you an idea of who you're dealing with. Now, on Lichess, you can look and see if your opponent has more wins than losses. So over here you can see my mouse is saying this guy here has 50% victories, 48% defeats, and 2% draws. 1,697 victories, 1,647 defeats. So, more wins than losses. That's very good. There are 50% victories. That's very good. Most of the people I see are 49%, 48%, stuff like that. And I would say half the time I don't see that they have more wins than losses. So if you're playing someone and they beat you, and you look at what their percentage of victories are, if you see like a 50% or higher, it's another reason not to feel bad, because you're playing someone who's doing very well, in my opinion. And especially if you play someone and you see that their victories are like 65% victories, and then you look and see how many games they've played, and they've only played like 12 games, then you know they just opened the account, but they know how to play chess, and they're probably a lot better than the rating tells. So, don't feel bad if you get beaten by someone who's got a 65% or some ridiculous victory percentage like that. Also, you can look and see these winning streaks. Here's one that's 11, losing streak 9. Now on Lichess, what I've seen is that most people have a winning streak of around 10 and a losing streak of around 10. And so I started wondering, does Lichess kind of make sure that after 10 losses they send you somebody that they know you can beat so you don't get discouraged and leave the website? So I asked the computer if they did, and according to this, it says no, they do not do that. Now, it just seems like if you go in there and you look and you see people's records, 10 seems to be the average amount of a winning streak or a losing streak. Of course, one explanation could be that, after you've lost 10 games, if you lose, say, seven points every time you lose a game, and you lose 10 games, you've lost 70 points, so that when they match you with an opponent, it should be somebody that's closer to where you're at, and then I think that increases your chances of a victory. Okay. And they do have an algorithm when they do match you up with people. Yes, Lichess uses an algorithm to pair players in its arena tournaments and quick pairing systems. Okay. So, and I think in the settings you can say, okay, I want to play somebody within my rating number of 250 points or something. I think there's a way to set that up in there. You can decide how much greater than your rating or less than your rating you're willing to have in a partner. So they do have an algorithm for that, but they don't have an algorithm that deliberately sets you up with somebody much weaker so that you'll win, according to this. So this is some of the thoughts that go through my head sometime. I should be a better chess player. Okay. Now the response to that is, it's impossible to be better right now than you currently are. Okay. I should never lose. Losing helps you to see your mistakes. Losing can be a good thing. Or you might say to yourself, I should know more than I know. Well, you can't know more than you know right now. Maybe in the future, but not now. Okay. So how do you get better? You welcome losing. Losing helps you to see your flaws so that you can change your strategy. How do you get better? You analyze your games with the computer and with your brain to see what you could have done better, what the flaws in your plan are. You watch chess videos on all the various topics. Study chess books. Do chess puzzles. Mate in 1, Mate in 2. All kinds of stuff. Mate in 3. They have all kinds of puzzles that help you work on pins and skewers and everything. And then another way is remind yourself before each game. Remind yourself of the opening principles and that you are still a student of chess, always learning and improving and enjoying the process of becoming better and better. Let's look at this. In sports, being defeated by progressively stronger opponents is valuable for growth and development. It pushes athletes to refine their skills, learn from their mistakes, and develop resilience. This experience, while initially discouraging, can lead to greater strength and improved performance in the long run. Okay, so here's a list of why: enhanced skill development, increased resilience, learning from your mistakes, and motivation and drive. The experience of losing to a stronger opponent can motivate athletes to train harder and strive for higher levels of performance. This can lead to a renewed focus on improving and developing new skills. Okay, understanding your limits. Losing to a superior opponent can help athletes understand their current strengths and weaknesses. This awareness can guide their training and help them identify areas where they need to focus on improvement. In essence, being defeated by greater and greater opponents is a natural and valuable part of the learning process in sports and, I'll say, in chess. It provides opportunities for growth, skill development, and resilience, ultimately leading to more robust and successful athletes and chess players. So I've given you a bunch of things that you can look at and think about when you're feeling discouraged and you feel like you're not very successful because you're losing. Look at all these things we talked about today, because these are other areas where you can rate yourself. It's quite possible that even if you're losing, you are getting better and better, seeing tactics you didn't see in the past, having less and less blunders and having more accuracy and a lower centipawn loss, things like that. Thank you so much for watching. Have fun out there. Bye-bye.